All right, now to the latest on the war in Ukraine. Defense forces are preparing for a ground assault by Russian troops in the Donetsk industrial region of eastern Ukraine. The local governor there says that there is no safe place left and is urging the remaining 350,000 residents to leave.
It's a desperate rush to leave. But saying goodbye is hard. There isn't much left for them here in the city of Slovyansk. Russian shelling has demolished homes, small businesses, and hopes for aging with dignity and security.
This was my shop here. I have no words. Lots of money, lots of resources invested. 20 years of work, everything is lost. I have no more income. Nothing connects us to this city anymore. I'm scared for my wife and my daughter, who is 6 months pregnant. They need to leave here, especially after what happened yesterday. They hit the city center.
Russia has already claimed victory in nearby Luhansk. Now the Kremlin is moving the front line of the war to the front doorstep of Donetsk in the Donbas region. 2 civilians died after shelling struck a market in Slovyansk earlier this week. The local government is begging civilians, all 350,000 of them, to evacuate.
I have no more choice. Tomorrow, I will join the army.
This isn't the first time war has come to Slovyansk. It was seized by Russian-backed separatists in 2014 and recaptured 2.5 months later. There's no telling how long these refugees will have to stay away, or what they'll find when they return. Ukraine's military is continuing the fight as Russia's forces advance.
Let's go now to our correspondent, Nick Connolly. He is in Kyiv following events for us. Nick, we know that Russian forces have control of half of that critical Donbas region that they say that they want to take. What's the latest now on the offensive to take the remaining half?
Well, there's real fear here in Kiev that Russia is on something of a roll. After weeks spent taking Severodonetsk and huge losses, they took Severodonetsk's sister city of Lysychansk in a matter of days. So there's a sense that they could really be pushing home that advantage, that their new strategy of focusing their efforts on a pretty small section of the front lines, moving away from trying to do too much, what they did in the early months of this war that failed so spectacularly, that's now really bringing fruit, that, you know, Russia is outgunning and outmanning basically Ukraine in this conflict, and that for now Ukraine doesn't have the resources, isn't getting the Western support that it's been asking for, and that Ukraine's Western partners simply don't really understand the scale and the intensity of this war, and that all these deliveries are just going to be too little, too late. The only kind of little shimmer of hope are reports now in the last few days from Moscow that some of these units might now be taken back into the Russian kind of hinterland to take a break, to regroup, and that, you know, the kind of tiredness and exhaustion after months of pretty intense fighting is also, being felt by the Russian troops, and that might give Kiev a bit of a chance to bring those Western weapons to the front lines and kind of even things out a bit.
Nick, we know that residents have been told to leave the city of Slovyansk. It comes just a day after at least 2 people were killed in a Russian attack on a market there. Are residents, are they heeding the warning to leave? Are they able to leave?
Well, as far as we understand it, the figures are all a bit disparate, but the majority of the pre-war population of Ukraine-controlled Donbas, we understand, have already left in the previous weeks and months. Most of the people have stayed not too far away, gone 100, 200 kilometers from the front lines. But as you mentioned there, about 300,000 people still believed to be there. And on the whole, we've seen time and time again people leaving it too late, people saying, I have nowhere to go, I don't have resources, no one wants to host me. And basically people wait until they can hear the shelling in their own homes to leave, by which time it's often too dangerous, and they end up either, you know, losing their own lives or endangering the people trying to help them. So this time the government is trying to get in there earlier, be more drastic in its warnings, and also put more pressure on people to get out, to avoid them losing their lives and also endangering the people who then will be at worst, in worst case, sent in to help them. So that's their hope now, and definitely an expectation here in Kiev that more cities are going to fall to the Russians before Ukraine is able to turn the tables and to start going back into counterattack.
Our very own Nick Connolly with the latest tonight from Kyiv in Ukraine. Nick, as always, thank you. Ukraine's government estimates that more than 10,000 of its soldiers have been killed in the conflict, though international observers fear that the actual figure is much higher. Some of those wounded are being treated in hospitals in other European countries.
Ivan Hunchenko got out alive. He was badly wounded, defending Kiev against Russian troops.
We discovered them in a forest. We immediately began fighting. We were lucky that day because our unit left the battle with only 2 wounded, me and another lad.
Hunchenko received 2 bullet wounds and a shrapnel wound to his legs. He is one of the first Ukrainian soldiers to be treated in Germany since the Russian attack began.
The medical care the patient received in Ukraine was excellent, but he needed further operations. Of course, to do that, we needed a large team and the appropriate infrastructure, which is practically non-existent in Ukraine at the moment.
6 soldiers are being treated at the Luisen hospital in Aachen. Maxim Kartavenko was shot at by a Russian tank in the Donbas. A piece of shrapnel hit him in the arm.
My median nerve is damaged. I can move my hand in this direction, but not in the other. And I can't feel anything in these 2 fingers.
Even if there is peace in Germany, the doctors in Aachen are familiar with war injuries.
We had a lot of experience treating patients from Iraq many years ago. So in principle, this is nothing new for us.
But it's not just doctors helping the wounded. Ukrainians who live in Aachen stopped by today to wish Ivan a happy birthday. He just turned 37. A brief and welcome moment of distraction from the war.
It's hard to read the news about Ukraine. Here you are safe and everything is good. Planes and helicopters fly and you aren't afraid. In Ukraine, it's completely different. Everything that flies belongs to your country's army or that of the enemy. That's scary.
So far, about 300 people from Ukraine have been flown to Germany for treatment, including civilians and soldiers. Ivan Hunchenko knows one thing for sure: he wants to return and continue fighting.